Hello and welcome to the first of a six-part series in our career management phase. Today we're going to talk about understanding the process, the total process, and one of the most important elements in today's world, which is building an effective portfolio. I'd also like to welcome, while we have him here, Patrick Seether from the Governor's Club, who is our guest moderator today. And Patrick, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me today and talk about this worthwhile subject here. So before we get started, do you have any questions you'd like to ask me, Patrick?
No, Bob. Well, first I just want to say thanks for having me here, and always enjoy talking to you and learning something. So, I think before you get on with your presentation here, I just am curious, where this information has come from. How have you developed this?
That's a great question, and something that's very important to understand. This is not textbook what we're going to talk about today. This is from the real world. This is from our work with clubs in hiring golf professionals. This is our work with over 100 assistant professionals who have graduated to the next level. This is about understanding the process that exists today and understanding how to differentiate yourself in today's marketplace to get yourself in the door for an interview. So yes, this is a compilation of all those experiences so that we can build a comprehensive roadmap for our members to utilize to be able to get and accomplish their career goals. So that's where it all comes from.
Real world experience.
That's it. And why do we need a real world experience? Because the premise of this series is that it's become increasingly more difficult to manage your career, and that the entire process for marketing yourself and illustrating your qualifications is changing. It's completely changed in the last 12 months, and it's changing, before our eyes. And some of that is due to the social technology that exists out there. More importantly, it's about the ability of people to actually check and see, who you are. I can tell you, 18 months ago, when a club was doing a search for a golf professional, I don't know that anybody Googled anybody. I can tell you now that most clubs, everybody, that's the first thing they do, because everybody's on LinkedIn, everybody's, here, Twitter, and that's why it's so important that we understand that, because you've got to manage your technology, your social media presence as well. The other thing that's made it more difficult is the obvious. We've experienced facility contraction over the last 5 years, every year. So there's actually less clubs, there's less jobs, clubs have less positions. So we're seeing a regression in our industry that we've never seen before. Because, for a long time, they were adding a club a day, and it wasn't enough. But now we've reached a saturation point where we're going in a different direction. So, to get ahead in today's world, you need a strategy. And our job in this program is to help you be able to develop a strategy. It starts with building a strategy with first understanding the entire process. And what goes into the entire process? Well, there's the necessary materials that you need to prepare. There's building an understanding of what differentiates you. Why are you different? Why are you special? And if you're participating in this series, in this program, you're taking the time and energy to be different, okay? So it's just a question of understanding that. How do you navigate the application process? How do you bring yourself to life to a committee? If you don't bring yourself to life to a committee, and that you can be brought to life a certain extent in your resume and cover letter, but in today's world, with the fact that they can Google you and they can see things, you have opportunities to do more. And, how do you market yourself effectively? And then it ends with preparing and succeeding in an interview. So this is the process. We're going to start with a couple of the early elements, but you need to understand and embrace the totality of the process before you can build an effective strategy for the process.
Hey, Bob, I just want to say that, I've been through quite a few interviews, and that list you just had there, I wish I had that about 10 years ago, because I would have probably, I think I went through so many interviews and I learned these things along the way and I got better. So it's interesting to see that all there. So I think this is a great value in what you're talking about here.
Well, thanks. And you know, you're right, Patrick. And so what I've tried to do with this is I've tried to take, we've been in the trenches with you in this process. We've been in the trenches with a lot of our guys, going through this, and a lot of our women that go through this. So, what I'm trying to do here is everybody has their own individual value, and I believe there's a job for everybody. And if it's your job to win, if you do the right things, you're going to get the job. This is about understanding from all those experiences and being able to build a plan and a strategy that separates you. So the idea is put all the hard work in to build the materials, and then all it's about then is how you network yourself and make yourself more, attractive for a position. But you're right. I agree with you. This is something that was a long way in the making, and hopefully will make life easier, for all of us as we move forward. So we're going to start with building a standout portfolio. And the reason we're starting with a portfolio and not the resume, cover letter, or letters of recommendation is because it's the most important thing you can do today, because it can tell the story. It can help bring you to life. Obviously, the easiest way to bring somebody to life is if you know somebody personally that knows somebody on a selection committee that can bring you to life. That's the best way, but that doesn't always exist. And so you can use your portfolio in a completely different manner than you've ever been able to use it before. And it can set the stage for showing you and projecting you as the right person. So we're going to go through in this process of understanding the portfolio value and building the best portfolio you can. We're going to understand the current environment and why a portfolio is important. We're going to discuss critical elements of a portfolio. We're going to talk about how you tell a story in your portfolio. How do you effectively illustrate yourself as a golf professional? Demonstrating a vision, picks a leader and shows compassion, and exemplifies a world-class operation. And what I will tell you as we go through this, and as you start to think about this, there will not be a tremendous amount of words in this portfolio. A portfolio used to be, the big book that you brought into an interview, and it showed them how you're going to run an operation, and it takes you through everything. Well, here's the problem that developed with a portfolio. One, people didn't want to read them anymore. Two, they didn't know whose material it was, because when you're putting an operational portfolio together that's a lot of words, you might not have wrote it and written it, and so they started to devalue those. When you put this type of portfolio together that we're going to talk about today, let me tell you, there won't be anybody that can play drivers, because this is you. This is showing you in your environment and how you do it. And it's much easier for them to go through, and it's not going to be the length that they've traditionally been. So let's start with the current.
Yeah, I would
reality.
say, Bob, just to interject there, when I went through the interview process for Governor's Club, I submitted a portfolio, and it was very visual. I didn't want to put a lot of writing. Obviously you have some in there, but I think I took some of that from you. I think you were telling me that, and I used to have that big one with all the words in it, and after a while I don't think anybody did read it. So I think the more visual is the better, pictures and showing them who you are that way.
Yeah, you think about it, Patrick, just look in your own thing. When you were applying for jobs 10 years ago and the materials you gave and the materials you give today, you're 100% right. It's completely changed. The document, as we say here, the document must be concise and be able to bring you to life. Pictures bring people to life. And it's a lot less about what you're saying and more about the picture that is painted. I'll never forget a story. We were doing an interview for a club, and somebody had in their portfolio a picture of the driving range at 7 o'clock in the morning and how pristine it was and the balls all set up. And somebody on the committee said to the person, that's what your range looks like? And they go, yeah, it's what our range looks like every day. It's pretty much all day. We could constantly, putting the balls back in range. And the perception from the people at the club was, well, they didn't have a perception of a nice looking driving range because the previous professional owned the carts, owned the bag room, and owned the driving range. So you paid for every bag of balls. There were no bag stands out on the tee. So the bags were, that's back before you had bag stands on everybody's bags. So some bags were down on the ground, some bags weren't. The bags were thrown everywhere. The balls are all over the place. It looked like a mess. And that picture said something to the person like, wow, look at that. And that's what pictures can do. And if you do this right and it doesn't exceed 16 pages, people will look at it. And, this is your pictures. This is you. This is you and your, you can use one major picture as a background for each page and put a caption around it. As I said before, the text is minimal and simply serves to support the picture being painted. Some pictures need some context, and so it's really a lot different in what we're doing today than what we've done in the past. And quite frankly, in some ways, when you get done, it's a lot easier to do it. So in building the portfolio, there's three critical elements. There's successfully telling a story, there's illustrating that story through the utilization of pictures, and it's choosing an appropriate medium. Okay, so we'll talk about those things as we go through. Telling a story. It illustrates that you are a golf professional. Don't need to play golf. Provides a vision. You could put certain pictures in there that, provides a vision. Okay, how about depicting you as a leader? Picture of you giving out, the winning trophy. Shows compassion. Putting your arm around a member when they're having a tough time, or you're sitting there, when somebody's winning. There's a lot of ways that you can show compassion. Demonstrate a world-class golf operation. You put pictures of the different things that you do, you're gonna demonstrate and give a feel of a world-class experience and an operation. And that's what you want to do in the portfolio and telling a story. That's the vision. That's the way we go about it. That's the story. So being a golf professional, you wear many hats. You're an instructor. Have some pictures of you teaching people. You're a retailer. Have pictures of the golf shop, but maybe also have pictures of you, showing somebody something. Show them that you're being a mentor. Okay, that could be, interacting with the juniors, or an assistant. An arbitrator. There's a rules question. You're the rules official in an event. Being a leader, well, that's, maybe the times when you're talking, giving out the, the awards, or doing some of the, the major dinners that go on. Anything that shows you, leading people. And compassionate. I mean, most men and women in our industry today are compassionate. You're a people person to begin with. Show them that. Show being around people. That could be, that could be handing out an award. That could be, talking to the juniors, as we said before. It's just anything that, pictures that show you in any of these lights are important. Okay? Demonstrating a vision. Describe your overall goal. Last week we released the first in the value proposition series. Well, having a vision statement is very important. You could put a vision statement that's 3 or 4 sentences on this. But you also need to know what your overall goals are, okay, of what you want to get across. And you're going to support those goals by the text that you use. But they should be totally big picture thoughts. Your thoughts on this need to be at 50,000 feet. And the pictures should come back to reinforcing the vision that you set in the beginning, okay? And you're going to want an overall consistent theme to the pictures, okay? Sometimes you'll put the pictures together and the pages together, and you'll go, that doesn't hit me. And then all of a sudden you put one picture here and another picture there, and you change the flow of it, and all of a sudden it really comes together and crystallizes. You can figure out the types of pictures that you want to have and take those, but it's all about demonstrating your vision for who you are and what you want to accomplish. Depicting a leader. That's action photos. Okay? Leadership can never be written, it can only be demonstrated. You look at the famous pictures of generals in action, and they're all when they're on the battlefield. They're not when they're sitting at their desk at, the Naval Academy or at West Point. They're in action. And so, that's presenting winners' prizes. That's officiating the club championship. That's playing golf with the members. That's presiding over an event. These are things that depict a leader. And, you know, for those of you that haven't had some of these experiences, you can show those experiences happening at your facility. And you can put yourself into some similar situation to these, but those are the types of things that you're trying to get across here. You know, showing compassion, as we talked about, is very important. And it's simple. It's helping someone with their golf game, being involved with junior golf. And it's a well thought out story that will bring your compassion to life. So if you take all of these things, overall, you'll create a positive attitude towards these pictures, which then creates a positive attitude towards you and what you bring to the table. Which then, what the goal here with this portfolio and the idea here is you want them then to go back and review your resume and your cover letter again. Because one of the things that you're going to find out as we go later into this series is clubs are so inundated with resumes, and we've become a society that doesn't like to read anymore. So they come and they look for hot buttons in the resume. Well, what you can do with this is you can get them to go back and actually read your resume. If they read your resume, they're going to find the detail of these things. They're going to understand who you are and what you are. And that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to get them back to, and what you want them to do is you want them to go back and read the letters that people sent in on your behalf. So this picture portfolio gets them in a positive mood where they want to know more about you. And we'll talk a little bit about that in navigating the application process and how you can use this. Sometimes this may be used in the interview, and sometimes this may be used beforehand to get yourself in the door. But we'll talk about that later in a different series when we're doing that. But it's all about telling a story that gets the rest of your materials looked at. How do you define a world-class golf operation? You know, there may be some text necessary in this part, but remember, it needs to remain concise. You know, a world-class golf operation consists of a retail program, a tournament program, golf instruction, and junior golf. At the end of the day, those are really the four core elements of providing a world-class golf operation. You know, there's more elements that are involved, but those are the elements that tend to resonate with people. You know, they like to buy things. They love their tournaments. If they like golf, they might take golf instruction, so they're passionate about the game. And, of course, if you have kids, you want your kids to be thinking that they're going to hire somebody that's going to take care of their kids. So those are really the four parts that should be included in showing a world-class golf operation. Now, they can be shown at different times in different areas, which then makes the statement to the person that you have a world-class golf operation. So it all helps tie itself together.
Yeah, Bob, just to interject there a little bit, you know, you coached me a little bit on this with my portfolio, and I think I ended up with, it might have been 6 or 7 of these, you know, sort of highlights. And what I did, just as an idea, I kind of created like a wheel. In the center was, you know, it was service. That was my main focus, service operation. And then the spokes of the wheel went out to each one of these things, which was, you know, the retail operation, tournaments, women's golf, junior golf, all the different things that I saw at this club. So that was just as an idea to throw out there that I thought that, you know, as another visual, it was, okay, here's the center is service, and then outside, you know, all these things are connected to it.
Yeah, and that's great. And obviously, you know, that worked for you in conquering the, you know, the position at the Governor's Club and in positions before. And you're right. See, you took the idea and the concept and you tailored it to what's you. And I think one of the things that's very important in this portfolio idea is I'm setting out and helping you understand the totality of it, because you have to build your own, okay? Because this is your individual DNA, let's say, okay? And you have to build your own. But you need to know where you're going. And see, that's the beauty of this. See, you took that and you built this wheel. That's great. I've seen, you know, other guys and women do other things that are great as well. But you use the idea, and that's what we're talking about here, okay? Your retail program, your tournament program, your golf instructor, your junior golf, they're all going to be different. But boy, you build your own way to tell your story. And you know, I bet the people can understand the wheel pretty easily, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so then they got to understand you, right? And that's what you want at the end of the day. You want them to understand who you are. And these tools are all designed to help them understand who you are, because you're a person that wants to differentiate yourself, and you have reasons that you are differentiated. So we need to bring all of those out. So world-class experience. That's event execution, that's member interaction, and that's an illustration of unique amenities. Okay, so your picture story here is somewhat tied into the other pictures, but these are things that go to resonate with people, okay? Seeing the golf professional shaking somebody's hand as they enter the club, that makes a statement, okay? It makes an underlying statement, you know. Having a picture of, you know, whether it's the member guest, you know, night, and it's the night before when there's a big party and everybody's in there, and you may be doing the raffle, you may be doing the, you know, the teams and the, you know, all that kind of stuff, but a whole bunch of people in a room where you're leading the discussion, that's member interaction. And it can also be as simple as one person. Just like, you know, the handshake that I talked about. And, you know, show them your unique amenities. I mean, most everyone in our group works at a place that has something unique about it. Show them that. Show them your uniqueness. Show them you do something different, because everybody'd like to think their place is unique and can come to life. So those are things that bring a world-class experience to life. You know, as I said before, photos tell a story, and, you know, you have to use the proper, you know, photo utilization, okay, and they tell a story, as we said, but you also need to make a theme. And, you know, you can start with taking a look at the pictures that you have, but you need to, you know, what is it that if you sit down and you do the first step, which is you define what differentiates you and what makes you special as a golf professional, then you can get pictures that capture your unique qualities and that set you apart. And then those pictures also come back because your differentiation points are going to be in your resume. And, you know, that's going to help them go back and see those things. Your differentiation points are things that people are going to be either writing in letters on your behalf or making phone calls on your behalf. But the major photo areas, just to define them here, are retail, events, instruction, junior golf, and customer service. We've talked about those in individual parts as we go along, but, you know, I wanted to just clearly define what the major photo areas are. So those are the 5 major photo areas. Retail, and we all know what great retail pictures can look like and what they can tell, right? We all know that people, if they got smiles on their face and they're happy in an event, that sends a positive message. You know, I saw one picture one time of a junior high-fiving a golf professional. I mean, that just said a million words, right? And, you know, I think, quite frankly, customer service comes about through, you know, the answer of those questions. So these are the areas that you want to concentrate your photo collection on. So in the retail operation, it's about colorful displays and product diversity. Those are the 2 things that you're trying to show. It's got to have color, it's got to pop, and it's got to show a diversity of products. Don't simply take pictures of the men's section when there's a club that has a committee of 3 women on it. You know, show product diversity, but make it color. You know, this is where you can really shine, because you can set up your own display to take the picture of it. Golf events, what are you trying to show there? You're organized, attention to detail, scoreboards, you know, interaction during the event. We talked about the pairings party on the course. You know, if you're walking with the club championship, if you're officiating, if you're just whatever it is, it's interaction on, you know, the events. So this should help you organize your thoughts as you're going through this. Golf instruction. If you use technology, show it. If you fit clubs, show it. You give individual lessons, show it. You give group clinics, show it. So this page with golf instruction could be 4 pictures illustrating each one of these things with a caption in the middle about what your philosophy on golf instruction is. That's how simple it can be. But then you would answer all these questions. They could see your technology beliefs. They can see your club fitting systems. They can see your individual, you giving a lesson to somebody, and they can see a group of people taking a lesson. Junior golf. If you're going to tackle junior golf, you got to show them, a range of ages. Illustrate them having fun. Some of the best pictures I've seen is when, the golf professionals dressed up in, the snag golf suit and they show the kids, swinging and hitting, the snag balls at the person. Other things that I've seen is the pictures. A lot of you have gone out and you've started to do other things when you're having these camps. In other words, throwing a football, throwing a frisbee. These are all things that golf professionals have come up with that can be help in learning the skills to playing golf. And that's then showing them that it's not all about just the golf. It's about, them having, fun while they're here. And if the kids are having fun, that's a positive experience. It's going to lead to more utilization of the club, and it's going to pay dividends to everybody. And it also shows that you care, okay, and that you're going to create a philosophy of caring. These are all really, really important things to put in. And I just want you to sit back and think about something right now as you're getting to the end of this and you're thinking about this. Think about how much we've covered in what we're talking about here just from pictures and the statements. I can't tell you, when I see a really good picture portfolio, I get thoughts about what I see that go way further than if I'd have read anything. And so that's what's the fun part about this, but that's also the part about how you got to work through this in a systematic way. This isn't just about getting a bunch of pictures, throwing them on a piece of paper, and, boom, we're done. This is about telling your whole story and thinking about your whole story. Customer service. Pictures that show organization, structure, compassion. Those can come to life in a picture. They're only words when they're written down. You may have some pictures around this with a statement in the middle. This is what we believe in relative to customer service. But this is an opportunity here for you to be able to show things that they wouldn't see otherwise. And what I will tell you is if you do this right, what will happen is people will open it, people will look at it, and they will pass it on. Because when you can do something, and I'm talking about this experience of going through your portfolio might only take 90 seconds. But that 90 seconds will turn into a lot of time afterwards, because what's going to happen is, as I said before, they're going to go back and look at your resume. They're going to pass it on to everybody. Now they're going to start talking about it. Now, on top of that, think about somebody calling in and recommending you. Wow, where are we going here? We're way ahead of the game. Now we're getting, in a place where maybe we didn't know anybody, we're getting in the door. In a place where we know we're going to get an interview, when we'll talk about it later, you'll use this in the interview, which will set a different tone at the beginning of an interview that will put you in a whole different light.
Bob, and really what you're doing with these pictures, you're trying to get the person to imagine themselves in that scenario with you, right? I mean, that's kind of how I would view it. They want, as they're looking at it, they're saying, wow, I'd like to be that person that's doing that, or, the pro shaking my hand, or, whatever that is.
Right. I think Patrick, you hit something, a nail right on the head, because, the one thing that I have noticed, okay, in all of the different searches that we've done and all the help we've done helping golf professionals, typically what happens is the person that gets hired makes the best connection with the committee. And connection is all about them buying into your belief system. And when they buy into your belief system, they want to see more from you. And I think you just hit that on the nail. This is getting them to understand what your belief system is and seeing you in action. You're 100% right. And I think that's probably, I hadn't thought about that till today, but that's probably why some of these portfolios have had so much success in saying messages that were never sent before. So I think that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up. There's only really a couple mediums that this can be done in. Probably the most effective one is PowerPoint. Publisher's another one. Creating your own book, in a magazine style that can be given when you go for the interview. But the critical factor is the professional look and that it's easy to navigate. So why PowerPoint's easy is because they can click on their down button and keep it going. Which is better than turning it into a PDF, because then they're going to have to scroll down it. But that whole process of just being able to click a button and pictures pop up. And if you wanted to, in a PowerPoint, if you're that good with it, you could make it where it starts, it maybe plays music on its own, and it just goes through. And all they got to do is sit back. You can make the pages change on your own if you want. But it's an easy medium to work with pictures on. Now, the one thing that you got to be careful of is sometimes the files can get so big, and you need to scale them down so that they are emailable. But PowerPoint seems to be pretty good at that, especially if you copy and paste the picture. Instead of copying and just pasting it normally, you hit paste special and do it as a picture. It seems to take up less space.
Bob, one of the things I did when in a search that you guys had run was at a club that was far away from where I am, and I'm in North Carolina and you're in New Jersey. It was closer to where you were. I created a video that I was speaking on and going through a presentation. It showed me doing a lot of these things. It was very visual. I just sent the link to the committee, and then and they all clicked on it and watched it. And I know when I did end up getting an interview. And when I was meeting with one of the members there, he said, "Oh yeah, you're the guy with the video." So I knew that it meant something. That they had enjoyed that. So.
And it's interesting that you bring that up, because it goes right into our next slide, and you didn't even know that. But that was a great point, because look, you didn't know anybody there. So what in the world did you have to lose by sending it? Right? You had nothing to lose. Right? I mean, it wasn't. So you did it, and it was a difference maker in getting you in the interview situation. And that's why this portfolio can take on some different lives, and how you play it and what you do with it, putting a message at the beginning of it, just, putting yourself in there and giving a message, like Patrick did. It's an opportunity when it's a job that you're interested in, but you don't know anybody there. When you have some connections, but it's not extensive, this is a good tool to be sending. See, when you send something, though, that they can open and they know right away that they don't have to read, they're going to look at it. Okay? When the first thing that opens up is a bunch of text, and they got to read this thing, they're going to put it on the back burner. They're going to come back to it. In a situation where you're very wired and know you're going to get so both of those situations, you would be sending this before the decision is made. This is to help you increase your chance of getting an interview. When you're wired and you've got people that can bring you to life, you can use this presentation. Heck, you can use it in the beginning when they ask you the question, so tell us something about yourself. Well, you know what? I prepared this little 90-second, presentation that takes you through, who I am. Boom. And it sets the tone. So if they already had positive thoughts about you before, the interview started, they're really now moving up to the edge of their chair, right? And now they're going to listen to you more, and that's what you're after. So this has some different ways that this can be utilized that the old portfolio could never do, and even the portfolio that was a year ago that got into some pictures but still was, a decent amount of text driven, was only good for an interview situation. Anything that was sent beforehand was just, a waste of time. This, and I've seen it, it's worked to get people interviews. So how do we get started? I've used this picture before, and I think it's so appropriate here. Jack Nicklaus once said, if you're going to walk a golf course to understand how to play it, you need to start on the 18th green and go backwards. And when you start on the green and you go backwards on a hole, you understand where you want to end up. So this is our end goal. And then, this hole kind of depicts a par 4 that has two different fairways that you could go in, and one, makes the hole go shorter, and it's more risk reward. And you've got to play it. But at any rate, you would be starting at the back of the green saying, okay, how do I want to play this hole? How does this fit my game? How do I do this? And this is no different with this whole process of managing your career. We're doing this portfolio. What do you want to end up with? What is the story that you want to tell people? And start there. And then think about, if I know where I want to end up, what do I need to show them and tell them? What do I want them to know about me? What makes me special? What makes me different? And so I think this is a great analogy, there's 4 or 5 different ways you could probably play this hole. And there's 4 or 5 different ways you're going to play this hole depending on how the wind's blowing, right? Or how you're feeling that day. And that's the process here. There's different ways that everybody can do this, but there's one that'll match being able to tell who you are as your story. So when you start this, don't start with the daunting task of how am I going to put this together. Start with the understandable part of what is it that I want them to know about me. Is that 5 things? Is it 8 things? Is it 9 things? I'll ask a question to everybody when I'm helping them one-on-one. I'm doing their resume or their portfolio, their cover letter, and I'll say, you obviously spend a lot of time trying to be different and differentiating yourself. What do you think makes you different? And why do you think you obviously believe that you're, trying to be the best. So if you're trying to be the best, there's things that you do what makes you that? Define those things, then build your portfolio around that. So start at the end and go backwards. And then decide the pictures and the appropriate text that goes with it. You get the right pictures, the text can be inconsequential, to be perfectly honest with you. And, as we end, there's a great quote by Calvin Coolidge that I think really handles all of what's involved with career management and going through this process. And the quote is, "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. The slogan 'Press On' has solved and will always solve the problems of the human race." I think that in and of itself sums up what people that get ahead do. They persevere. You out there, persevere. I see it every day. It's one of the great things that I see. So just embrace your perseverance. And, Calvin Coolidge said this probably 100 years ago by now, and it's still appropriate today. So those are the thoughts on building a portfolio and the first part of this and understanding the process. All of this will match together and help you put together a comprehensive package. But that's the first part, getting this portfolio and telling your story. When you can put your story in here, boy, you're going to be able to, your resume and your cover letter will become much better. Your ability to interview will become much better. And your ability to tell the people that you have that want to help you what separates you will make this process a lot easier. Patrick, do you have any questions you want to ask before we conclude this?
Well, we'll make a comment here about this, and I think this is a great concluding thought that you've got here, because persistence is going to be, for anybody that's listening, it's huge. I don't even know how many interviews I went through, probably 12, 15, and some of them were awful. Some of them were great, and I didn't get the job, and then the one that was right, I got the job. And, I think that persistence is, you got to have it, and it's, you're going to learn through the process, and you're going to refine things. And this is a great way to end it. That persistence is huge. So that's all I had to say there, Bob.
Well, Patrick, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to help us with this. I enjoyed your insights. I thought they were very appropriate for everybody as they're going through this. And of course, if anybody needs any individual help, you know where to get me. So we'll be available for that. We'll be back with the second part in the series in 2 weeks. and we hope you take advantage of this. So thank you, and have a great day.